Hello friends, welcome back. It is day 28 of our series and we are getting near the very end of October. And of course, since it is the end of October, which means it is pretty much close to Halloween. So what is an October or Vlogtober series without some spooky horror content? As you can see here, I have a few pictures printed out of my favorite horror genre, psychological horror anime series, and that is what we're going to be journaling for today. What I'm going to be doing first is going to set up my layout, and I'm going to talk you through the different series that I have included in my top 5 favorite horror series after I make the spreads. And while you're at it, maybe you can also comment down below recommendations for me to watch, be it anime or manga, in the horror and psychological horror series that I can include in my Halloween to watch and to read list. So I have my materials here ready, and I will talk to you at the end of the video. is it for the spread. Here we have my top 5 horror picks for Halloween. I have 2 here which I assume most people who watch anime know the title of, at least if they have not yet watched it. So I'm going to start here with my very first pick. Here we have Higurashi, When They Cry or When the Cicadas Cry. Supposedly I was going to include Umineko, which is from the same creator of Higurashi, in this as like a bonus pick, but then it cannot fit the page, so I just had to leave it out. Higurashi is probably my best psychological horror series that I have ever watched, and I think it recently concluded with the last season. Though I have not finished watching it, I didn't have time yet, but I'll be sure to watch that later in the week. So basically, this won't be much of a spoilery video, but it's basically a time loop sort of anime wherein the main character goes back in time to witness the same horrific incident that happened in her hometown, and she sort of finds a way to break the curse that is happening. And then next is Another. Another is a very popular, one of probably the most watched horror anime. Actually had to watch this twice because the first time when I watched it I was still very young and I couldn't really recall what happened in the end, but the ending actually is very good. It's one of those anime wherein the horror is not in the ghosts and the gore, but rather how people react to a certain life-threatening situation that really puts it into perspective that human behavior is actually one of the scariest things in life. Next we have Corpse Party. So Corpse Party, I think, is supposed to be a game, but they went out with these 4-episode series, and my god, if you don't like gore or blood, I suggest you don't, but the story and the ending really shook me. Even as a lover of these sorts of series, it was kind of that's my reaction to that. I won't give that much spoilers, but it's a warning for those who don't like gore to stay clear from it. Okay, next we have Parasite. Parasite to me is another one of those psychological horrors, mostly similar to what I said about Another. What makes this anime scary for me is not the body horror, but rather the actions taken by human society towards the threats, towards the issues that makes it very scary, that the mind can actually consider doing such horrific actions towards something that they don't understand, and all that the characters just want to do is to survive and live. And if they didn't take such drastic actions, maybe there might be something that could be done. Granted that this series has much body horror, so if you don't like deformities and such, maybe that is also something that you should consider when watching this anime. And lastly, we have Shinsekai Yori, or To the New World. This, when I first watched it, I'm like, nah. First 2 episodes in, I'm like, what is this anime? I cannot understand for the life of me. And if you asked me how to explain this anime, I could not. But at first I said, okay, this is quite boring, this is quite dragging, I cannot understand what the sense of the world is. But I gave it one more go, tried to force my way into watching it, and I can say it was kind of worth it. The thought-provoking, actually this is not horror, more of dark fantasy and psychological, but I just wanted to include this because, again, this is going to be a running theme wherein my choices will be the horror is in the mind of the society and how they react to threatening situations or the situations that they don't clearly understand how to handle, and most of the time their reactions would be to either kill or be killed. That was almost their sort of defense mechanism towards what they think is a threat to their society, and also how small groups of people fight over like land and such. if you do want to give this a go, I say stick with it until you reach that point wherein most of the puzzle pieces start to click. It's more of like the theme is growing up to a society wherein you know something is wrong, and how these kids deal with that knowledge, and how when they grow older, how did they try to fix the mistakes of their elders. And so a fair bit of warning is that the transitions in between arcs is kind of bit murky. So I don't know, for me, I needed to have a little bit of time to think through how to piece the puzzles and the stuff that they have presented. But all in all, as a lover of lore, as a lover of mystery, I find it very interesting in the end on how they ended the anime. So if that interests you, maybe give it a go. Later did I realize that more of the picks that I have here aren't necessarily horror. What attracted me more to these 5 series is more of the storyline and the development of that mystery rather than the horror elements. So some of it is more darker than it would seem, rather than just simply blood and gore. So that is it for today's video. If you have any other recommendations of horror and psychological horror, even dark fantasy, maybe you could leave a comment down below. I would love to hear what your picks would be for Halloween, and I will see you again tomorrow for another video. As always, I will leave a link to the playlist of our series down in the description and in the iCards up above. And until then guys, bye bye!